the question for today is, what do you guys know about mixed numbers? So we've been working with mixed numbers now for about 3 weeks. So what's something you can share about mixed numbers? Some of your classmates said that they shared mixed numbers themselves. So they said 1 and 2/4, 2 and 3/5. So those are examples of mixed numbers. Others of us are sharing examples of equations using mixed numbers, which is good. So what do you guys know? Well, all right, guys, we're going to get started in 1 minute. So go ahead and add your final comments. Charisma even shared a video with us. Thank you, Charisma. All right. So let's get started. So today we're going to be working with multiplying whole numbers by mixed numbers, all right? All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first question is 3 times 4 times 2. Nice job, Lizette. So Lizette's in first place. We have Darian and then Charisma. Awesome job, guys. So Lizette took first place. Hawa, good congratulations on second place. And Jake took third place. Excellent. You guys have gotten so fast with your responses. So we'll keep practicing our fluency. Jason, don't worry. It's okay. Hopefully next time it'll let you join. Sometimes it's just a connection that stops it from loading so quickly since it is a fast game. So we're going to start today's lesson with a notice and wonder. So I want you to look at this fraction model, and I want you to just tell me, what is it that you noticed about the fraction model? Okay, good. So Lizette shared that it's a mixed number. What else do you notice about the fraction model? Okay, Lizette is noticing that the fraction is showing 1/3. Jerley's also agreeing with what is being said. Okay, so Roshan thinks the fractions are showing 2 and 1/3. What else do you guys notice? And again, like Miss Silberman said, if the image looks too small, once you click on it, it'll show up as the entire image. So what do you notice about the fraction model? And we'll take about 30 more seconds for your responses. So some of you guys have identified the amount being shown. It seems like we agree that there's a mixed number being shown. Okay, so Jason is saying that there's 15 wholes and 1/3. I'm glad you were able to get on, Jason. Okay, Kiana agrees. All right, awesome. So now that we're looking at this image probably caused us to have some questions. So now I want to know, what are you guys wondering about this fraction model? What questions do you have about the fraction model? So it's the same image, but now I want to know, what are you guys wondering? So we did notice that it was a mixed number, and some of us were sharing amounts. So I see Lizette has said that she's wondering, what is this equal to? Good, so what is the total amount that this fraction is showing us? Okay, so Hawa is also wondering, what is this fraction? Good. What questions do you guys have about this image? Okay, Lizette's wondering if this is showing us 10 wholes. Kiana's wondering why this is in different colors. Okay, Roshan's wondering about the unit fraction. So what unit fraction is it showing? Darlin shared, why is it showing 1/3? Okay, excellent. Inez is agreeing with Lizette. What is this equal to? Good. So the reason why I'm showing you this image is because it is connected to what we will be working on today. So I like Adriana's question, where Adriana's asking, she's wondering how she's going to figure out this question, which is excellent because that's what we'll be working on today. Today we're going to be working on strategies for how can I actually multiply a whole number and a mixed number. So I want everyone to look closely at this example. So here we have a word problem and we have the solution to the word problem. But first, I'm going to read the problem to you. So here we're talking about Ellie, and Ellie wants to make 5 blankets as gifts for her friends. So it takes her 2 2/3 yards of fabric to make each blanket. And we want to know how many yards of fabric does Ellie need, okay? So again, in this the gist of this problem is that we have a girl named Ellie, and she's making blankets for some friends, okay? And so for each blanket, she uses a certain amount of yard. For each blanket, she uses a certain amount of yards of fabric, right? So it's telling us that she uses 2 holes and 2/3 of fabric for each blanket, right? And if she's making 5, in order to find that, we're going to need to multiply. So now you could see this is the same image that you guys studied in your Notice and Wonder, where we see the 2 holes in red and 2/3 in orange. So each of those rows in the image is showing us a blanket. So each row represents a blanket. And she has 5 of them because she's making them for 5 friends. So today we're going to practice multiplying by using the distributive property. Excellent, that's what we're going to be doing today. If you remember in class, we worked a lot with this property. And we did this when we got to double-digit numbers because it was easier for us to multiply smaller factors in our heads. So we're going to do the same thing today, but with mixed numbers. And we're going to be breaking up the whole number and the fraction to multiply. So as you can see here in the example, Ellie solved this problem by doing 5 times 2, and she got 10, as you can see in the first equation, in the second equation. And then she multiplied 5 times 2/3 and got 10/3. Now, if you look at the example, in the third equation, it says 10 plus 3 holes and 1/3. How do you think why did Ellie write 3 holes and 1/3 instead of 10/3? What was that, Jerly?
That they're different numbers.
Okay, so they are different. So 10/3 is a fraction greater than 1, right? And 3 holes and 1/3 is a mixed number. But the reason why Ellie rewrote it as 3 holes and 1/3 is because they're equivalent, okay? 10/3 is the same thing as saying 3 holes and 1/3. The only thing she did was rewrite her answer as a mixed number. And the reason why she did this is because when she's combining it back, she wants to give her answer with the simplest fraction, okay? So yesterday we practiced rewriting fractions greater than 1 as mixed numbers. So we're still going to use that skill today, okay? It's a problem and expression together before we practice them on our own. So on the next slide, we're getting ready to solve an expression together, okay? 1 second, guys. Sorry. All right. So here in this problem, we have an expression, and we also have a fraction model. So the expression here is 2 holes times 2 1/4. So again, the expression here is 2 holes times 2 1/4. And our fraction model is showing us the total amount, n, that's going to be our product, and it's showing us the 2 factors. So our 2 factors here are 2 1/4 and 2 1/4, right? So 2 times 2 1/4. Great work, guys. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share how it works with you guys. When we multiply a whole number times a fraction, we're really multiplying the number of parts it has. So that's why we're just multiplying the numerator. So when Hawa multiplied 2 times 1/4, she really multiplied 2 times 1, which is 2, and she ended up with 2/4. And then at the end, she remembered to combine her answers back together. So remember, the distributive property, once you get your two products, you have to combine them back together to get your total product. So she added 4 wholes plus 2/4, and that gives her 4 wholes and 2/4. Okay? And in this expression, we did not have to rewrite our fraction as a mixed number because it's less than 1. We know 2/4 is less than 1, so we just leave it how it is. Okay, good job, guys. A lot of you were able to get to your final answer of 4 wholes and 2/4. And if we look at the other problem and continue practicing this skill. So guys, this is the trickiest part of multiplying mixed numbers times whole numbers, is converting the fractions greater than 1 back to mixed numbers. So it's okay if you still feel confused by it or if it's still a little bit tricky, but we've gotten a lot better at it, all right? So now we have a word problem. So remember, when we have a story problem, we're going to use our problem-solving strategies. And we're going to read this problem 3 times. Okay, so listen carefully. As I read, I want to see you guys annotating the problem. I don't want to see you trying to solve the problem yet. Okay, so let's slow down. So Mary has 3 packages of hamburgers that weigh 1 whole and 3/4 pounds each. What is the total weight of the hamburger? So based on this problem, I know that the gist of it is that Mary is making hamburgers, right? And we're trying to find out the weight of her hamburger packages. I'm going to read it 2 more times to make sure that we get a full understanding of what the problem is asking us to do. So it says Mary has 3 packages of hamburger that weigh 1 3/4 pounds each. What is the total weight of hamburger? So I see here that Lizette underlined 3 packages, right? Good, because that's telling us how many groups of hamburger we have. And I also see that Darian underlined 1 3/4 pounds each. Good, because that's a key detail. That's how much each one is going to weigh. I'm going to read it one more time just to make sure I have a full understanding of what the problem is asking me to do. Mary has 3 packages of hamburger that weigh 1 whole and 3/4 pounds each. What is the total weight of the hamburger? Okay, so the question here is asking us to find the total weight. And we know that it's 3 packages, which is why we have 3 rows in our fraction model. And each one weighs 1 whole and 3/4. So that's why in red you see the 1 whole, and then in yellow you see the 3/4. And here I'm going to need your help, guys, to explain it for those of you who were able to get to the final answer. So I'm looking at Hawa's work, and Hawa did 3 times 1, right, because that was a whole number, and she got 3. Pretty straightforward. And then she did 3 times 3/4, right? And yes, a lot of you guys were able to get to this step. And when she multiplied 3 times 3/4, again, you're multiplying the number of parts. So that's why we're only multiplying the numerator, because it's the number of parts that we have. So she did 3 times 3 technically, and she got 9/4. Now, her final answer is showing as 5 1/4. That's the part where some of us got stuck. And the reason why is because we need to work on how do we make 9/4 into a mixed number. So all right, guys, so you guys did some great work with multiplying a whole number by a mixed number. And I think that the distributive property really helps us when it comes to separating the fraction from the whole number. Now, one thing that is still a little bit tricky for some of us, and that's totally okay, is the fact that when we end up with a fraction greater than 1, how do we change that back to a mixed number? So I'm going to put together a lesson where we keep practicing that, okay? And I will do that with you guys tomorrow during office hours, all right? So tomorrow during office hours, we'll work on converting fractions greater than 1 to mixed numbers, because it seems like you guys know how to by your work, I can see that you know how to multiply fractions and whole numbers. The only thing that's messing some of you up is changing it back, okay? And that's totally fine. That's the trickiest part. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
No? Okay. So it seems like we are done for today. You guys did an awesome job. Thank you so much to those of you who unmuted yourselves and participated. Thank you, those of you who helped out another classmate in the chat box. That was awesome to see. I really, really appreciate it, okay?